is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Ohio.
Red men go for the Tribe as the offense bashed Reds pitching for a season highs of 15 runs and 19 hits last night at Progressive Field. Yan Gomes and the Indians offense will look for more of the same against their in-state rivals in support of Danny Salazar, who has been the toughest pitcher in the big leagues to get a hit against this year. Watch your step. It's the Tribe and the Reds. Nothing to see here, folks. Eyes straight ahead. Next on Sports Time Ohio. Along the banks of the Cuyahoga River in downtown Cleveland, it's baseball night in Ohio as the Cleveland Indians look to maintain their mastery over their in-state rivals, the Cincinnati Reds, tonight here at Progressive Field. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. Indians have won 6 out of the last 7 against Cincinnati overall. 14 out of 15 right here in Cleveland. And last night, Yan Gomes was a guy that really gave the Indians offense a big jolt, and he's on quite a roll right now.
Well, he's starting to get it rolling. And when you're in a slump, it takes time. But he started out on Friday night with a home run. On Saturday, he follows that one up with a home run. And then last night, did not play on Sunday, but he comes back with a breaking ball, goes to right center field. It's a big 3-run home run. And for Yan Gomes, he's leading the league as far as RBIs go for catchers, tied with Salvador Perez. So hopefully he can start getting that bat going, get a few more hits, hit for some average, and drive in more runs.
Rick, Danny Salazar gets to start tonight, and I guess you might look at it and say it's probably his kind of year when in his last start he walked 6 Houston Astros batters, and they still really couldn't touch him up for any damage.
Well, mechanically, he said he was pulling a lot. He was pulling the ball to his left, and the career-high 6 walks showed he was doing that. But when he walked the bases loaded, he found a way to get out of it. He had 10 strikeouts. He left the bases loaded in the first, in the second, and then he left 2 guys on in the third. He gave him 5 innings, but that, he didn't stay in the ball game that long. But he's tough to get a base hit again. That ERA is 1.90, and he's going to have a tough go against the Cincinnati Reds because he has had his problems against them. But he'll be matched up against Alfredo Simon, 1-3 on the year with an ERA of over 8. But last year he made 5 starts against the Indians. He won 4 of them.
Hard to figure that one out, but we'll see if that maybe changes tonight for the Indians as they try to make it 2 straight this year against the Cincinnati Reds. We'll be back with tonight's first pitch. Plus, we'll check in with Andre Knott, who has the latest comings and goings with the Indians roster. Cleveland Indians baseball is brought to you by W.B. Mason, the official office supplier of the Cleveland Indians. By McDonald's, I'm loving it. And by your local Toyota dealers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. are on the board. A base hit for Napoli, and the Indians have tied the game. Here comes Rajay. He won't stop. Yan Gomes with a 3-run homer. Gone to Souvenir City. The Indians hammer Cincinnati in this series opener. Oh, yes, they did indeed. And now on a rather gorgeous night in downtown Cleveland, we're ready to wrap up this brief 2-game set here, and then we'll move the scene south to Cincinnati for the next 2 games. We knew the Indians were going to have to make a roster move with Lonnie Chisenhall coming back from the bereavement list today. But what the Indians did may have been a surprise to some. Let's go down to Andre Knott with the very latest.
Yes, the surprise is Cody Anderson has gone back to Columbus, but the new pitcher that will be here is Mike Clevinger. He'll make his first big league start tomorrow when we go down to Cincinnati, where I know you're excited for that. Clevinger at Columbus was 6-0 with a 3.03 ERA in 7 starts. He's excited to make his first start in Cincinnati tomorrow. Here's tonight's Hear Right Sounds of the Game.
I mean, I had no idea this was coming, and Trimmy called me last night, and I was sitting in my hotel bed, and then he actually had to call me again to tell me, like, no, you're going. And so to really get it to sink in, so it was a good moment. I had the shakes at about 5 a.m., so we're still going. I'm going to compete. I'm going to attack. So, I mean, there's not going to be an inning or a pitch count, no matter what the runs, that I'm not going to compete or fight. Just trying to stay within myself, trying not to let the moment get the best of me. Just same game between the lines, just different level.
Spoke to Mike in the clubhouse before the ball game. He's excited. He can't wait to get out there tomorrow in his major league debut, and I know we're really excited to see him.
It's a very special moment for the young man. I mean, he has at least 24 hours to take it in, to just absorb some. He's going to watch the team. He's going to see how Salazar pitches to him. Man, tomorrow he's going to be flying high. I can't wait to see him. We saw him in spring training. He's got a great arm. Looking forward to it.
This is the way the rotation looks now with Clevinger going tomorrow. Josh Tomlin will pitch the series finale in Cincinnati. Then Kluber, Bauer, and Salazar will pitch the series in Boston. Now the Indians will have to add a pitcher for the doubleheader on Monday in Chicago, the 26th man, so to speak. Somebody will be called up just to pitch that one game, then they'll go right back to the minor leagues, and we'll wait to see who that pitcher is when we get a little bit closer to it. But tonight it's Danny Salazar, and before we get started, might I add, poor Andre. I mean, if it's not the players peppering with seeds and bubblegum, he had the mascots all over him tonight.
Yeah, he's amazing. I think he's got to ask for it himself. Ask and you shall receive.
Well, the Indians take the field behind Danny Salazar, who has been brilliant at times this year. And here's the lineup he will face tonight for Brian Price and the Cincinnati Reds. Zach Cozart leading it off. That man, Joey Votto, will bat third behind the speedster Billy Hamilton. Brandon Phillips, Jay Bruce, Eugenio Suarez in the middle, and Adam Duvall, Jose Peraza, and Tucker Barnhart batting ninth.
And Danny Salazar will be our Northern Ohio Honda starting pitcher for the Tribe tonight. He will make his 8th start this year. His last start against Houston, control issues. He was pulling the ball to the left. He dodged, he danced, and he left a lot of guys stranded, but he went 5 innings. Still only 4 hits and 1 run allowed, but he walked a career high 6. He struck out 10, but he left leading that ball game 2-1, ended up with a no decision. Now, in his career against Cincinnati, he has made 1 start, and it was not a good one. He went 4 innings, gave up 5 hits and 5 runs. But he did strike out 5. So he's coming over here trying to beat the Reds for the first time. 1-1 in his career at this ballpark this year. Let's set the defense, which is brought to you by Jeep. Behind Salazar, it'll be Bird in left, Davis in center. Chisenhall's back. He will be in right field. Ramirez at third, Lindor at short, Kipnis at second, Napoli at first, Gomes doing the catching.
Mike Everett, the crew chief, has the plate tonight. Tim Timmons, Ryan Blackney, and Paul Emmel will work the bases. Indians have won 6 of the last 7 overall against Cincinnati, including 14 out of 15 right here at Progressive Field.
A lot going on around here tonight. Yeah, music and everything outside the left field fence.
Cavaliers will tip off later tonight in the Eastern Conference Finals as they take on the Toronto Raptors. Zach Cozart to lead it off for Cincinnati. Swings at the first pitch and a foul right back.
We'll keep an eye early on Salazar for fastball command.
Just missing with that fastball down and away, but that's a good spot for Danny. Especially if he's ahead in the count. An off-speed pitch just popped him straight up.
Yeah, off balance, the way you want it.
And Napoli secures the ball for out number 1. Keys to the game brought to you by Wayside Furniture. Keep the foot on the gas after what the Indians did last night. I want to see those bats continue to stay hot. And for Danny Salazar, get into an early rhythm. Rhythm was something that he never did find in Houston. Even though he had 10 strikeouts, he was just all over the place.
And talking about that rhythm, it's that slow delivery and not, trying to rush to home plate, staying back with the baseball like he did a couple of starts ago, and he had a good breaking ball, and we just saw a good one on the 3rd pitch of the game.
It's funny you mention that, Rick, because I remember a year ago in spring training, Mickey Callaway, one of the things he worked with Danny on was quickening his tempo. Now, not his delivery,
right,
but his tempo between pitches. He was taking too much time on the mound getting ready. He wanted him to get the ball, get the sign, and let's go.
Right.
But don't carry that over into your delivery and speed that up, though.
No, that's true. Get your tempo and speed it up between pitches, but nice and relaxed with your delivery. Yeah, you don't want to rush that.
It's no different than a golf swing. If you hurry, if you get too quick in your golf swing, a million things can go wrong. And the same thing holds true for pitching.
Yeah, rhythm and tempo, 2 different things.
Swung out and missed. He struck him out with a good off-speed pitch.
Looked like a change-up to me, and Salazar gets his 54th strikeout. Danny on the year. Left-handers, man, they're only hitting $107 coming into this game. They had 8 hits and 75 at bats. That'll be our Circle K strikeout. Second hitter of the game for Salazar gets Hamilton. Out number 2.
Up comes Joey Votto, 1 for 3 last night with a double, scored a couple of runs. Ouch. He broke his bat, got inside on him, and on one pitch, Votto retired. It only took 8 tosses for Salazar to set the Reds down 1-2-3. The Indians are coming to bat. Presented by Progressive. For Terry Francona, it will be Carlos Santana leading things off. 1 for 3 last night with a walk and a run scored. Jason Kipnis will bat second. He drove in 3 last night. Francisco Lindor bats third. Then Mike Napoli, Jose Ramirez, and Yan Gomes, who had a homer and 4 runs driven in last night. Lonnie Chisenhall back. He's going to hit 7th. Marlon Byrd and Rajay Davis.
And tonight's Northern Ohio Hyundai starting pitcher is going to be big Alfredo Simon. And last year he had 5 starts against the Indians where he was 4-0 coming when he was with Detroit. And he had 3 starts for him this spring. It was a late sign for him. But, you know, you go out there, you look at it, 38 hits in 27 innings. Plus he has 13 walks. He's struggled on the road. He's 0-2 this year.
Carlos Santana swings at the first pitch. And with the shift on, Zach Cozart throws him out 1 away.
Let's look at the Reds defense for you. Duvall in left, Hamilton in center, Bruce over in right, Suarez at third, Cozart at short. Peraza now, he's at second base. He started at center yesterday. Votto is at first, Barnhart behind the plate.
Well, Alfredo Simon got clobbered almost right out of the gates this year. He had a game at Wrigley Field. He lasted 2/3 of an inning, gave up 5 runs. That'll shoot your E up in ERA.
Yeah,
then he faced the Cubs again at home and gave up 8 runs in 2 2/3 innings. You take those 2 away, and overall his numbers aren't as bad as it would appear.
That's not a good club to face, the Cubs. They do that to a lot of people. Or they have done it to a lot of people so far.
I mean, last time out he went 6 innings against a very good Pirates lineup and allowed just 3 runs. 3 runs allowed to start before that against Milwaukee. And he's got Kipnis out in front. Is there anything he does particularly well that has enabled him to have the kind of success against the Indians?
No, because I used to look and try and figure it out last year. I'm thinking, how can this guy just walk out? Some guys just have success against a certain team. Look, he sinks it. He'll change speeds. You'll see a big soul curveball or, you know, something to keep hitters off balance. But it's up to hitters to make adjustments. You know, when you see a guy 5 times in 1 year, you figure you're going to get to him sooner or later. They couldn't do that last year, so I really don't know what makes him so special against the Indians.
They got to him last year in September for 5 runs in 6 2/3 innings, but the only other time where they had that kind of success against him was back in 2014 in a game here where they got him for 5 runs in 5 innings.
He just mixes it up and normally pitches from in front. But you know, nothing out of the ordinary.
Lindor looks, it's low again, 3-0. Frankie had 3 hits last night, drove in a couple, scored a pair. And that's a high strike to make the count 3-1. Lindor smokes it to right field. Jay Bruce will chase it to the wall. He's got a great arm, and Lindor slams on the brakes because the throw was right to the bag.
Good idea. And you know what? He was hustling all the way. And a 3-1 count, that's how you want to see a swing. Put that good swing on the baseball and hit a nice line drive. He got the fastball again, and that's what you're supposed to do with it. He hit it hard. He hit it too hard. Holds him to a single. And he was running out of the batter's box. So a 2-out single for the Tribe. Last night they had, what, 6 of the first 7 innings. Their leadoff man aboard. And they started to hit with runners in scoring position. That's the kind of night it was for him last night.
Mike Napoli takes the first pitch strike. Mike 2 for 3 with a couple of runs driven in last night. Indians have done some of their best work on this homestand with 2 outs, batting .396 as a team, which is great when you've got guys on base and 2 outs, but when you're trying to start a rally with the bases empty, that makes it a little more difficult. Although that's how Cincinnati got the lead last night. It was 2 outs in the first, a walk, and then a double by Phillips. And with Lindor's speed, if Napoli can hit for extra bases here, Lindor more than likely will score.
Little different arm angle. Looks like he came down from the side a little bit more. So he jumps right up on top of Napoli. 0-2.
Now Simon waiting. Barnhart went through every sign he could give him, but Simon never really agreed on any of them. Now it looks like fastball in. I don't think he has any idea what he wants to throw here, so they're going to talk it over.
Well, if he's been watching, you elevate the fastball. That's pretty much how everybody's been trying to pitch Napoli this year. There's not much new to that scouting report, unless they're reading off a different one.
Well, Barnhart did not play last night. Ramon Cabrera was behind the plate for Cincinnati. There's the high fastball. That must have been what it was. He said, I don't want a fastball in, I want a fastball up.
Right. I mean, it doesn't take much. We've been watching this report now for 6 weeks.
Big curveball, and he strikes him out to end the inning. No runs ahead, a man left. We've played an inning, no score in Cleveland.
Live with MLB.com @bat app. You can stay connected all season with radio broadcast, video highlights, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com @bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your smartphone and tablet.
Brandon Phillips to lead off the second here for the Cincinnati Reds. And Danny Salazar's fastball too high, ball one. Low and away. Brandon last night 1 for 3 with a double and a run driven in. He's serving as the DH tonight. And that pitch is up high, 3-0.
Well, he came out free and easy in inning #1 and missed on the first 3 pitches. Brandon's got those what color blue batting gloves is he wearing today?
Look like gardening gloves a little bit.
They
don't they
did. From up here they do.
What? Leadoff walk. T-Mobile, greater coverage of baseball. Lowest batting average against this year belongs to Danny Salazar. Jake Arrieta right behind him. And Chris Sale of the White Sox. Former Indian Drew Pomerantz checking in right there at $1.73. Here's Jay Bruce. And a base hit beats the shift. Phillips will have to stop at second. He had to wait for that ball to go speeding past him. And the first two Reds have reached here in the second inning.
Well, this ball's down, and Bruce, a good low ball hitter. So the left-hander finds the hole between first and second. Just hit it too hard. Phillips wasn't going to be able to get to third. Chisenhall gets to it, gets it in. So Cincinnati with a good start here. First and second, nobody out.
Yan Gomes out to talk to Salazar briefly.
Well, it's no big deal because he, in the first 3 innings of his last start, remember in the first inning last start in Houston, he had bases loaded, nobody out, and struck out the side. Did the same thing in the second inning, had bases loaded. So he left 8 stranded in the first 3 innings.
And a fastball right down Broadway to Eugenio Suarez.
Suarez was hitting second in last night's lineup. He had a couple of knocks, hit a home run.
So we're going to foul back. Quickly 0-2. Well, the Reds came out and made a game of it early. They grabbed a 4-0 lead. But the avalanche of runs that the Indians poured on just took the fight right out of them.
Yeah, they came back with a couple of body punches and knocked them to the ground, didn't they? With a 4-run, a 5-run inning.
The 0-2. Like a Rougned Odor shot to the jaw of Jose Bautista. By the way, he was suspended today by Major League Baseball for 8 games for that punch. Surprised?
Yeah, that to me seems a little too many. 8 games, and that doesn't matter.
Swing and a miss. Suarez down on strike. Second K for Salazar. 1 gone here in inning number 2. Go down to Andre. What's the mindset of Danny after that last start? It was so odd for him down in Houston.
Very odd. You guys in the first inning touched on the pulling to his left side, not throwing the ball and going down. You talk about adrenaline and slowing himself down. You know, you talk about speeding up, but he said in his mind he was so frazzled that he overheated and was too hot. So he's got to control his adrenaline and control his emotions a little bit better.
Do you think it was because it was inside, Andre?
I think that was part of it.
Remember, he started that first inning, he had sleeves on, and then the second inning came out, he had, you know, he took them off.
Yeah, and he said himself, he goes, he let that get to him too much and start worrying about it. Before he knew it, he said there was guys all over the place on the bases.
Yeah, that's true. He was surrounded by Astros.
Adam Duvall can't catch up to that heat. 95 and on the black, the outside corner.
That's like, do you remember when Detroit was in town? Verlander was pitching against this air, and he came out, I think after 4 innings, and he took his sleeves off.
Yeah.
And went back out and then
And the
got
Indians
lunched.
got him. Yeah.
And said he'd never do that again.
2 on, 1 out here in the second, no score. Just outside, Duvall not chasing. 1-2 the count. Duvall's been in a pretty good groove.
You know, you look at his numbers, and boy, he has been in a very good groove. Got 12 doubles, 7 homers, 15 ribbies, hitting .284.
Popped him up. This might be playable here.
Yeah,
Gomes
yeah.
back to the Indians logo. He's got it. 2 away. not often you see a pop-up stay in play anymore. It seems like every time a guy pops one up, it fades back onto the screen.
Well, there's so little foul territory in a lot of these ballparks that it's, you know, it's sometimes a free at bat for a hitter. You know, the way these new stadiums are designed, their seats are closer to the playing field.
A lot longer walk to home plate when you were playing at the old stadium.
Yeah, yeah. When you struck out, you got a chance to hear a lot of the fans heckling you. You still get that long walk where we're going this weekend in Boston.
Yeah.
And in Oakland.
Well, I think of when I first went to Boston back in the 90s, in mid-90s, and Yankee Stadium, old Yankee Stadium, it reminded me of Cleveland Stadium. That those were stadiums that had the big crown on the field.
Yeah.
And everything leveled toward the dugouts.
Yeah, right.
So when it rained, the first thing that flooded was the dugouts.
Get the players. Yeah.
Now you walk out of the dugout and everything is just flat all the way across.
Spectacular.
Danny checks that runner, Phillips at second, and it's fouled into the Cincinnati dugout. Almost got Jim Riggleman, former Indians third base coach, now serves as the bench coach for Brian Price in Cincinnati. I still remember a game in Cincinnati, ironically enough. You know where I'm going with this,
I know exactly where you're going.
Probably don't have time to get into it with 2 outs. I should know better. Jose Peraza awaits the 1-1. Swing and a miss. Jim Riggleman was coaching third base. Travis Fryman was on first. He had a splint on his ankle. Wasn't feeling real good. Einar Diaz lined the ball down the left field line at Old Riverfront Stadium. And Riggleman waved Fryman around from third. He was out by 20 feet at home plate. We got on the elevator with him back at the hotel, and he said, "What do you think? I probably shouldn't have sent him, huh?"
That's when we nicknamed him Windmill Riggleman.
Broken bat bouncer to second. Kipnis cleans it up. And Danny Salazar gets out of trouble here in the second. No score.
The corner, which is out in right field, are the new drink rails in left. With the district ticket is presented by Sports Time Ohio, and the tickets are only $13, and that includes your first drink. They are available online at Indians.com.
Jose Ramirez leading off and looks at a ball low and away. By the way, I wanted to clean one thing up. The original report that I heard about Jose Bautista and Rougned Odor that Odor had been suspended 8 games, but nothing for Bautista. Bautista did get a 1-game suspension.
Okay.
So did Elvis Andrus. There were a number of other people that got a game.
Well, for everybody that was out there,
yeah.
you know, you think about it.
The 2-1 pitch from Simon. And a chopper to first. Big hop. Votto takes it himself 1 down.
You know, you watch some of the bodies go flying around here after this punch. There's the initiation right there at second base. He lands the punch, and then Beltre comes in and, you know, holds Bautista off. So that helped him out there. But now watch some of the other guys. I see Pilar out there. He goes flying through. Donaldson went flying through. See, that's not the shot we're getting. Murph must have cut it. Murph deleted what I was looking for. He did that on purpose.
Yan Gomes is in a pretty good groove right now. He's homered in 3 straight games. I'm sure they picked over the video, though, to make sure they got the right guys.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you look at that like you're going to replay something.
Gomes smacks another one deep left field. It is off the wall. He's going to have a tough time getting a second. And the throw way off the mark. Had he gone, he would have been easily in there, but you can't count on a poor throw.
I'll tell you what, that's good. Another line drive off the bat of Gomes. No, you can't. You expect a good throw. You don't expect one. There's a spinner that stayed middle of the plate, and Gomes jumps on it. Duvall fields it cleanly, but the throw very erratic once you see the end of it here. It's going to the middle of the field. But he had already stopped to go back to first base, so it'll be a single. Both singles going off the wall here, by the way. Lindor's back in the first off the right field wall, held to a single, and Gomes here.
There's something just not right about that. When you hit a ball that hard, you shouldn't be penalized.
Back in high school, that's a home run because the fence isn't there and it rolls forever.
Lonnie Chisenhall golfs one deep center field. His first game back. Hamilton backpedaling onto the warning track and makes the catch for out number 2. Lonnie giving it a ride, but it fell just short in the big part of the ballpark. It's going to bring up Marlon Byrd, coming off a tremendous game last night. He went 3 for 5 with a homer, 2 runs driven in, and he scored 3 times, including once all the way from first base. Good breaking ball in for a strike. There's his home run.
Yeah, he got a ball middle in and turned on it down in his wheelhouse. And that was the 2-homer inning there. It was a 2-run homer, capped off a 5-run inning.
And Alfredo Simon, he just sort of teases the hitters at times. Great backhanded pick by Barnhart. So 2 down, Gomes at first. We're in inning number 2. Fouling it right back.
Got to send out a happy birthday wish to Joe Scott, who is 90 years old today. Joe is at the ballpark today with about 16 people. They are partying at the game. So, Joe, if you're taping it or whatever you're doing, happy birthday, my friend.
Happy 90. Quite a festive atmosphere in downtown Cleveland tonight. Bird awaiting the 2-2 pitch. And he ropes it into left field. Couldn't sneak that fastball by him. Oh, sir. And there are 2 on with 2
Well,
out.
if you're going to throw a fastball by him, you better locate it. Because, you know, Marlin loves to get to that fastball. And that's pretty much about the same spot he hit that home run last night. Except that was the fastball here, and I think he hit a breaking ball last night. But he keeps it going with 2 outs. Runners at first and second. We'll give Davis an opportunity now. Had a good night last night. I wonder how his knee felt today after that attempted slide we showed you yesterday at home plate. Looked like it hurt to me.
I like what he told Andre last night after the game. He said, I thought I could beat it.
Yeah, well, the way you run, sometimes you think you can beat it. You don't have to slide. When you can run like Raja.
When you're that fast, you feel like you can always beat it.
Yeah.
Probably.
But he was, I mean, he was coming from first on a single. So, I mean, that's not an easy thing to do.
You had those kind of wheels earlier in your career. Did you sort of have that invincibility feel when you were running?
felt like I'm gonna, yes, you could test it, and you felt you could beat a lot of throws. If they make 2 perfect throws, then maybe you're out. But more times than not, you could beat throws.
1-1 pitch. And Davis smashes it into right field. 2-out base hit coming around third. Gomes going to wave home. Jay Bruce's throw to the plate is not in time. The ball got loose from Barnhart, and Gomes scores the game's first run.
You know what?
Did he try to tag him without the ball? Is that what happened?
Yeah, he never caught the ball. He tried to get when he thought he had the ball in his glove, and he went for the tag, but he never had possession of the baseball. The throw beat him, but you got to catch the ball. Now remember, these catchers, that catcher's glove is not like an infielder's glove. That's an in-between hop. He's got his mask on, he's got the gear, so he's got to catch that thing on a short hop right there. He just never fielded it cleanly. And it was, watch the tough hop.
Yeah.
See the short hop? That's not an easy thing for a catcher. You know, he felt he maybe should have made the play because the ball beat him, but that's a very, very tough play for a catcher.
I'll tell you one thing, Rick. Had Gomes not been able to touch the plate as he went by, the ball hitting the umpire would have helped out Barnhart because the ball rolled right back to him. But Gomes able to get the hand in, and the Indians have a 1-0 lead now, looking for more with 2 in scoring position for Carlos Santana. Carlos grounded out his first time up on the first pitch. And again, Tucker Barnhart going out for a one-on-one consultation. Barnhart leads the Reds. This is his 23rd game starting behind the plate, but he and Simon have had a tough time getting on the same page.
Yes, they have. Early in this game, they certainly have.
Nice backhanded stab there. Reds go into a big shift for Santana. 3 onto the right side with Peraza out in shallow right. They keep Suarez over there near third. And Santana takes its low. 2-0. Santana patiently waiting out Simon, who hasn't really come close to throwing him a strike here. It's 3-0.
Well, not that you necessarily want to walk him, but first base is open, but you're going to have to deal with Jason Kipnis next.
And he's been torture for Cincinnati over the last 2 years. But you're right, it doesn't appear that Simon wants much to do with Santana here. Looked like a changeup up high, and he walks him to load the bases. Our great clip of the game from last night. Jason Kipnis roped the ball into the gap. And Rajay just did beat that tag at home plate. Originally called out, but the umpire didn't see that they never tagged him.
Yeah, he scraped the foot across the plate. And, you know, looking at it from the naked eye, it was hard to tell if he touched the plate or not.
Well, Mark Riggins wore out a path between the dugout and the pitcher's mound last night.
I'll bet he goes through a pair of spikes a week, or shoes, as many times as he's been out there this year.
Well, they handed John Lamb a 4-0 lead after 3 innings, and Lamb only lasted 4 innings last night before he gave up 7 runs on 10 hits. Well, the Indians have taken the early lead, but now they've got a chance to put a big number on the board. Jason Kipnis with the bases loaded and 2 out.
Yeah, that was something that they did very well last night, the crooked numbers. And if you could do that when you've got a guy like Salazar out there, that could bode well.
As a team, the Tribe just 2 for 15 on the year with the bases loaded.
They were one of the last teams to get an RBI with the bases loaded, weren't they? I think Kansas City was the very last one. At least when they were in here.
There are the base runners. Infield more or less straight up. Second baseman Peraza pulled around on the right side for Kipnis. In the dirt, gets away. Coming home, Marlon Byrd will score. 2-0 Cleveland. Everybody else moves up 1. Now the wild pitch cost Simon a run.
Take that. That's a gift.
And he's been flirting with that all inning long, Rick.
Yeah, Barnhart's made a couple of nice stops back there. Well, you watch the pitch, and now as a guy on third, you have to read it. He let that ball hit his chest protector, and it rolled to the screen. And Byrd, when he finally sees it gets away, he comes in and he's able to score easily, and everybody else moves up. That's his second wild pitch this year.
And Simon finds the strike zone on a 3-0 pitch. And Simon already approaching 40 pitches in the game. Wow, just barely scraped the bottom of the zone.
Well, you know, in the first 2 pitches of this at bat, he threw a couple of pitches down there, and they were called balls. Now you get a 3-1 count, and you throw it down there, and it's called a strike.
Payoff pitch. Smacked right back through the box. Davis scores. Santana coming home. Throw to the plate. And he is saved. Santana beats the tag. And the Indians have themselves another big inning. A 4 spot in the second. As Kipnis delivers a big 2-out, 2-run hit.
Well, now Kipnis is happy they called it a strike, because he gets the base hit up the middle. Another chance to hit instead of walking to go to first base. This will be our Yellowwood bringing the lumber, and a line drive right back at the big man, Alfredo Simon. In comes Davis to score, and then to throw. Santana comes in and scores easily, throws off line. So for Jason Kipnis, gets his 20th, 21st RBI, and another big inning.
And the inning continues now. Francisco Lindor, the 8th man to bat. Three times in last night's ball game, the Indians sent 8 men to the plate in an inning. Another good pick by Barnhart. He's made a number of those already.
Yeah, and the one that he didn't, it ended up being a wild pitch that scored a run. He's already thrown 4 balls down there in the dirt.
Lindor and the Indians off to a good start tonight. Frankie singled in the first, and now he's got extra bases here in the second. All the way to the wall. Kipnis burning around second. Into third. He'll have to stop there as Lindor has a 2-out double, and the Indians keep the heat on Alfredo Simon.
Wow, that's just Lindor. 2 nice swings tonight. This one going to left field. Stayed on the baseball, the first extra base hit of the night for the Indians, and their 6th hit. Look at him, stayed on it. That pitch was away, and Kipnis couldn't have scored even with 2 outs. Mike Starball, the third base coach, had to hold him up. He was thinking about it. The head's down. He's running hard all the way until you say, no, we can't try it. We got to hold you up now.
Well, that was the right call, I think.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
As a fan, you always want to push the envelope, but he wouldn't have had a chance.
Well, when you're on the bases, anytime you're on first base and you're off with the crack of the bat, you're thinking scoring until you're stopped. And your third base coach says, no, in plenty of time, mind you.
Now, the way the Reds have thrown the ball around here in the inning, you might have said, well, let's take a chance. Maybe they'll throw it to the backstop.
Yeah, but you don't want to get anybody hurt.
Well, big Mike Napoli, the 9th man to bat in the inning. And a called strike evens the count.
Well, for Cincinnati's sake, they're hoping that they can get Napoli out here so before he has to get that bullpen up and getting loose, because it was a short night for him last night where their starter could only go 4 innings.
A 30-pitch second inning for Simon. And he'll have to throw at least one more. Only behind in the count, 2-1. There's John Lamb, who was knocked out in the 4th inning, or after 4 innings of last night's game. The silver lining last night for Cincinnati, if there is one when you lose 15-6, is that they only needed 3 relievers to close out the game. They didn't have to burn through the entire bullpen.
Well, when you think about it, how many times last night, it had to be 4 times in this inning here, where it's been about a 15-minute interval where they're standing out there on defense.
There were 3 innings last night, Rick, of 17 minutes or more.
Okay, that sounded like Tommy right there.
Tommy 2 seats.
18 and 18.
This one's 18 and counting.
Who knows?
He's got the stopwatch on.
Yeah, he does. Not that it matters, but when you're a defensive team and you're chasing balls, this is like defensive practice when you're out there hit cutoffs.
A sky-high drive, deep left center field. Hamilton leaps and makes the catch to end the inning. Well, Billy Hamilton saved the Reds. Further damage here in the 2nd inning as Mike Napoli almost knocked Simon out of the game. Instead, the Indians lead it 4-0. favor of the Indians. As we move now to the third inning. Danny Salazar got to love what he was watching in the dugout.
Yeah, put a 4 spot on there for him now. His job to come up and try and have yourself another quick inning. First 2 reached last inning for Danny, but he was able to pitch around it.
Right off the mask of Yan Gomes. Off-speed pitch missing. And a 2-2 count for Tucker Barnhart. 9th man in the order. Zach Kozar waiting on deck. Stays 2-2. And a great changeup. Third strikeout for Salazar, and you can see that Barnhart was just way out in front of it.
Boy, it's hard not to be when you're a left-handed hitter. You got to catch up to that heater.
Injury report brought to you by the attorneys at Elk & Elk. This is just a portion of the Reds DL.
Yeah.
These are the position players, and the big one there, obviously, Devin Mesoraco. We mentioned it yesterday. Did shoulder surgery for torn labrum. He's out the rest of the year. He missed most of last year with a hip injury, so only 39 games played in the last 2 seasons. And that's a guy that a couple of years ago had 25 home runs, and they were really pointing to as a building block in the center of the diamond. So it's more than deflating in and of itself. Then you take into account all the pitching injuries they've had, and easy to understand why they've been struggling. Francisco Lindor with a nice play to erase Zach Kozart for out number 2.
I was going to say our screen's not big enough to put all the injured.
Andre Knott has news on the Indians injury front. Let's go down to him now.
Let's go with the good and the bad. The good is Carlos Carrasco threw a side yesterday here at Progressive Field, said he felt good afterwards. Tomorrow the team will make a decision on what his next step will be. He could make another side here, or he could go out to Lake County. We'll find that out tomorrow afternoon, hopefully down in Cincinnati, but everything seems good. He's running at 80%. On the other side of things, Michael Brantley did go out today and get checked by the doctor. I'll hold off and let you do the
No, go ahead.
He got checked out by the doctor. Only thing that's concerning about the report that we have on him is there's no timetable. They found the same impingement. He got a shot in that shoulder, but no timetable on when he'll return, guys.
All right, thanks for the update, Andre. Great job by Salazar. 1-2-3, go the Reds. You enjoy a cold one to stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Jose Ramirez coming up out of the dugout, ready to lead off the home half of the third here for the Indians. Grounded out his first time up. Boy, he's been swinging a hot bat of late. And a pitch to the bottom of the zone for a strike. Jose's hit in 4 straight games, going 6 for his last 14 coming in. You know, his emergence all of a sudden, Rick, especially with the absence of Michael Brantley, gives the Indians lineup just a little more balance as you go down the line.
For me, he's an energy guy. Wow. You know what I mean? He's a guy that can make things happen. He's not going to, you know, hit you for much power, but maybe singles and doubles. He can play the infield. He can play the outfield. He brings a lot more energy, and you know, he's still learning this league. People forget he's only what, 23 himself. He's not,
exactly.
I mean, let's not forget how old he is. He's still got a lot to learn up at this level, and he seems to be learning it. I think he's a year older than Lindor.
Yeah, he'll turn 24 in September at the end of the year. Gomes swinging at the first pitch, popping it into foul territory. Votto comes hard from first to make the grab. Kia in the driver's seat, showing us that the Indians against the Cincinnati Reds, 13-1 just since 2011. Their best home record against any opponent. Snap throw to first, but back safely is Ramirez.
See how quickly Bernhardt got behind Chisenhall to make a throw to clear a path to where he could throw it. Those catchers much quicker when you have a right-handed hitter in the batter's box. They don't have to deal with the hitter.
One of the elements in this interleague series that has made it entertaining for the fans is that the home team has won a lot. Indians have obviously dominated recently here. Cincinnati, even with the Indians winning 2 of 3 down there last year, still won 17 of the last 24 at their park.
Yeah, it's a home and home thing.
It's funny though, Rick, and you know, you and I were talking on a completely different subject about the Indians geographically where they sit with Cincinnati to the south, Tigers out there to the west, to the northwest, Pirates over there in the east. That's going to maybe get through. Oh, it's bobbled by the second baseman Peraza, and Lonnie Chisenhall is aboard, and Ramirez into scoring position. We'll see how it's ruled. Not a routine play because he had to go a long way to get it, but probably a play he should have made.
Yeah, here's a guy that was playing center field last night, and he misplayed a ball, and we said he's an infielder. Well, if you're a big leaguer, that's a play you got to catch and you've got to make. You know, once he make it, it would have been Alfredo Simon that had to cover, but he was over there in position to get it, so we'll see how they score.
I think he gave him a hit. At least the scoreboard has a hit. So for now, we'll give Lonnie Chisenhall a base hit. And the Indians right back to work, 2 on with 1 out. And Marlon Byrd fouls one back out of play. Anyway, back to what we were talking about before. With the geography of the Indians, it makes sense to talk about the Battle of Ohio, and this is a big deal, and, you know, two teams in the same state. But Cincinnati's farther from Cleveland than both Detroit and Pittsburgh.
Right. Sure is.
Boy, Ramirez with a tremendous jump. He steals it standing up.
Well, you can see he did that on his own, because if they were thinking about doing that, Chisenhall would have followed. But Ramirez just had him timed beautifully, and there was no chance. As soon as he picked it up, he was off and running. He didn't even have to slide.
Yeah, it's not one of those things where Simon forgot about him. He was staring at him the whole way. As soon as he turned his gaze toward home plate, Ramirez just took off. And Bird, one of the rare times you see him chase a bad pitch.
But yeah, we're talking geographically to continue that. We've been carrying this home and home thing on since what, 97 with Cincinnati. You know, it would be nice to play Pittsburgh. We did for a few years there, where we mixed them in, I think 2 or 3 years in a row. But you're right, they're a little closer. Of course, we have that with Detroit because they're in our division. We play them 19 times a year.
The 1-2. Bird fights it on. You know, I don't know if it's the football matchup that has been so big between Cleveland and Pittsburgh for so many years, or the fact that the towns are maybe more similar, but there's always been a more natural rival, Pittsburgh and Cleveland, than Cleveland and Cincinnati. Now the 1-2. And Bird strikes out on a good breaking ball from Alfredo Simon. He gets his second strikeout of the night. 2 down.
Yeah, it was 2 down the last time we came up, and this is the guy that drove in the first run for the Indians with a 2-out base hit, taking it to right center field.
Rajai Davis trying to do it again. Tell you what, he's done it all year long. He's been very good with runners in scoring position. He's now 8 out of 24 in that category.
Well, there's a nice swing on that breaking ball away. And then the throw coming in where Barnhart couldn't hold on to the ball, and Gomes turns around and slaps home plate.
In terms of rivalries, when you were in Milwaukee and the Brewers would play the Twins, did it have that? Because geographically, those are fairly.
It was a good one. Minnesota was a real good one, but the White Sox were a better one. Chicago,
is that right?
Yes. 90 miles, 90-mile drive, and in '83 when the White Sox won really that division, and they won, what, 99 games, I believe. That was a really nice rivalry there, yes. But Minnesota was good as well.
And I'm thinking Minnesota, Green Bay. There's again the football tie.
Oh yeah,
you know, exactly. For years those two teams are knocking heads. Simon with the 0-2 pitch. Inside, he wanted to knock him back. Maybe set him up for a breaking ball. Really been his best pitch tonight when he's been able to get ahead of hitters.
Yeah, he never throws you the same pitch twice. He's always moving it in, moving it out, cutting it, sinking it, slowing it down. There's the curveball.
Hung it a little bit, and Davis swats it to deep left field. Duvall's running out of room, and it's off the wall. Flying around third is Chisenhall, and he will score. It's a 2-run double for Rajai Davis. Another crooked number on the board for Cleveland as they increase their lead to 6-0.
Well, he came back with that curveball, and Davis was waiting for it. You know, he watched him pitch a number of times in Detroit, so you got to feel he knows how this guy likes to pitch. But boy, he left that one up. That was up. It was middle of the plate. Rajai kept his hands back, and not quite enough to get it out of here. And boy, Duvall played that nicely off the wall, even though with 2 outs. Chisenhall was off and running on the crack of the bat.
Carlos Santana batting for the third time here in the third inning.
Well, this is a mirror image of last night.
And he smokes one. Left center field. Rajay coming around third. He will score. 7-0. Carlos Santana with RBI number 16. And with the shift on, Rick, that was easy pickings.
Yes, it certainly was. It certainly was. Look at, he's upstairs with everything now. And you know, it makes it so much easier if you're a hitter when the ball is elevated. You can do whatever you want with it. If you're out in front, you can turn on it and pull it. If it's up and away, you can just serve it the other way and do whatever you want. They're elevated, and he has been upstairs in this inning, and really for the most part.
This is the manager, Brian Price, out there, and this does not look like a friendly, I'm just going to pay you a visit kind of mound trip. He looks like he's maybe not laying into him, but he may be imploring him, look, you're a veteran. We need you to log some innings here tonight.
Right.
He's 2 2/3 in. He's already given up 10 hits. Last night, the Indians put 10 hits on starter John Lamb, but that was over 4 innings. But they've tagged the Red starters for 7 runs in each of the first 2 games.
Yeah, that's, I'll tell you what, and there's 2 more to go after this one. We're just going to fly a little south and play 2 more games down at Cincinnati.
It's going to drive Santana back to the bag. Odd choice for a throw-over, though. It's not like Santana's going to take off here.
Well, they're not going to put their running shoes on now. 7-0. I don't care if you're third inning or not.
And Steve Delabar heating it up for Cincinnati. Goodness.
Well, on the other hand, what Andre was talking about before we had to go to the inning as far as Carrasco goes, that sounds like good news, huh?
Yeah.
Closer he can get back, and especially it's Carlos Carrasco jersey night here at the ballpark.
Yeah.
See a lot of the white jersey in the seats. That's number 59 Carrasco on it.
We're going to see Mike Clevinger make his major league debut tomorrow night down in Cincinnati. He's going into the rotation. This isn't a 1-start deal for him. He's one of the starting 5 now. Maybe until Carrasco's ready to come back. Check swing foul.
Well, you hate to, and it was such a weird play on how he got hurt and how he went out. You look at the pitches by inning, and it's starting to get ugly. 34 in the second, 23 in this inning. The Indians have had 7 runs in the last 2 innings.
Right at the second baseman, Peraza, who bobbled it, but he recovers in time to throw him out to end the inning. Now the Indians landed on Cincinnati once again here tonight. They banged out 7 runs on 10 hits through 3 innings. On top. And Joey Votto going to lead off the fourth for the Reds. Danny Salazar. And Votto swinging at the first pitch for the second time tonight.
I was going to say, you remember he did it in his first at bat and it shattered his bat. He got inside on him with a good fastball.
No balls and 2 strikes. Danny Salazar wheeling and dealing here in the early going. And Votto able to check his swing on a pitch that was sinking down and out of the strike zone. Rifles that one foul. Danny's 2-2. Wow. Wow. Yan Gomes was ready to rifle it down to third and throw it around the horn. Look at Salazar. My goodness.
I'd say that's a little outside.
But that's also a guy like Votto has earned a reputation of having such a good eye. He gets a lot of those calls, I think.
Yeah. You're right. He's earned them, and he's walked a lot in his career. But
don't mistake me. I'm not bashing Mike Everett. I'm just saying if it's close, chances are he'll probably get the benefit.
Where that camera's at, I mean, that's a different angle. It's not right behind the plate. It looks close on the outside edge, but I think it's farther out than what it looks like there.
I was going more off of the reaction of Gomes and Salazar than the camera angle, to be honest with you. They both thought they had a strike there. 3-2. Fastball. He did well just to get to that pitch.
Well, see if Danny follows it up with a changeup. It's 7-0. You have to throw strikes here. You don't want to, nibble. Simon's nibbling, and he's up in the strike zone. Danny's got a nice, comfortable lead. He can afford to go after a little bit more of the plate. Fastball away.
Oh, yeah. Painted the
strike.
Inside corner. Number 4 for Salazar. And Votto upset. He gave up on it.
Well, he was going to try and get another call in that at-bat, but there's the fastball. There's no doubt about that one. He must have been looking away, as he was probably the rest of that at-bat, and Danny comes right back inside. Good call by Gomes, and gets his 4th strikeout.
There's Brandon Phillips, who walked his first time up. And he looks at a first pitch strike off speed. Votto is like a caged lion right now. He is irate. That may more be a show of frustration just overall with how things are going for Cincinnati. Napoli with a great backhanded pick as he digs one out for Kipnis, and there are 2 down. Nice play on both ends. Kip had to go a long way up the middle to get there, and then the off-balance throw couldn't get a lot on it, and Napoli
helps him out.
Nice job on the other end.
Nice pick. Very nice. Kipnis gets to it. Boy, that does wonders when that first baseman can pick you up at first and dig a couple out.
And with 2 down, Jay Bruce coming up. .31 out of 45 pitches for strikes to start the game for Danny Salazar. A far cry from where he was his last time out against the Astros. Truly night and day.
Yeah, he'd probably been in the second inning when you're looking at the pitch count at 46.
Came right down and got Gomes on the top of the foot. Even though he's got the protection there, that hurts.
Yeah, they get beat up back there. It seems like they come in bunches too,
doesn't it?
Yeah, you know, like anything, when you get hit once and all of a sudden you'll see a couple more coming in and you're going, wait a minute, what did I do wrong today?
I just marvel at the injury that Gomes suffered and came right back, and you'd never know he had a knee injury. 2-1 pitch. It's one thing you have a knee surgery and you're, let's say, a first baseman or an outfielder, where it's still challenging. But when you're catching, you've got to get into deep knee bends and squats all the time. I don't know how.
When a normal person, just not an athlete, has knee surgery and has to come out, they don't even want to have to go to rehabs. They just want to walk again. Think about becoming a world-class athlete and have to do it. That's on a totally different level, where you've got to come back and the training and strengthen it up to get back to playing at this level is unbelievably hard.
Now the 3-2. And Gomes with a worm burner to first. Napoli with a juggle, but Salazar's there to take the feed. And the inning is over. 9 in a row retired by Salazar, and getting some fine D tonight as well. There was never anybody on base to start those rallies. Here, they're getting a few guys on, and then when they get to 2 outs, they just continue to press. And they jumped out to an early lead. You've got to wonder how long Alfredo Simon is for this. Hey, there's Big Willie, John Wilson.
I was just going to say, yes, it is. He has a way of getting in the camera, doesn't he?
Yes, indeed. Well, I mean, he's sharp-looking guy.
Photogenic.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He knows how to rock.
Yes, he does. Yeah.
Francisco Lindor, 2 for 2, a single and a double. He's going for the natural cycle tonight. And Simon with the first pitch strike. But I was going to say, you have to wonder how long Simon is for this game. He's at 72 pitches.
Well, I'll tell you, his manager would like him to get through this inning and another inning if he could. Maybe that's what that talk was about. As you mentioned, you know, hey, you're a veteran. You got to come in here and show. You got to fight your way through it. I know you've had a couple of hiccups in this game, but you got to battle your way through and give me at least 5. I mean, he faced 4 guys in the first inning, and then the next 2 innings they were abysmal because he was upstairs with everything, and he had a boatload of pitches in the last 2 innings.
Made over 30 pitches in the second inning alone.
But here's a guy that has had success against the Indians just last year, so I think they were expecting maybe a little bit more from him tonight.
Big bouncer to second base, and Peraza throws out Lindor, 1 down. Well, before the ball game, there was a special guest here at Progressive Field. Stipe Miocic was at the ball game. The UFC new world champion, and Andre caught up with him before the game.
Yes, the champ was here, and you know he had the biggest punch heard across the world just on Saturday night in Brazil. Check out this shot right here in the reaction when he hits the home run. That may have been the most excitement we've seen in batting practice in a long time, fellas. He loved hitting that. Great friends with Yan Gomes as well, and they had a great time here before the game.
2 things about that. One, it was the last pitch of batting practice, so it's a walk-off.
Yes.
That's really great. The other best part about it was
the jeans.
No, he gets out of the cage, Andre. He's ready to celebrate, and then he realizes, oh, it's time to pick up the balls. Dropped his bat, went out there and picked up the balls like just a regular Joe. That's awesome.
Right? How cool a guy is he? He's a former firefighter, still goes and hangs out with those guys. Unbelievable guy.
Look at this reaction. Look at the guys behind the kid. Everybody, the Reds guys, everybody's fired up.
Yeah, that's a nice swing.
And now watch him. I don't know if we have the shot long enough.
There he goes.
Let's go pick up the balls.
You're darn right.
Yep. He knows it. That's
Hey, Andre,
awesome.
did you call him what you told me you were going to?
I did talk to him about standing out there with me, but he has some other arrangements. He told me he'll come back and take care of Jabba if I need to. Look out, Jabba. I got the champ, baby.
Yeah. You bet everybody will be watching out for you. You'll be the king.
He's got hammers, boys.
Oh, I'm telling you what. I looked at his hands. I said, man, it'd be like getting hit by a sledgehammer. That's probably what the guy he fought said, too, when it was all said and done. That was great, though. Stipe promised he was going to bring the belt back to Cleveland. He made good on it. Two-0 pitch. Lots of energy and excitement in Cleveland right now with the Cavaliers getting ready to host Eastern Conference Finals. Indians sit currently just 4.5 games back of the White Sox in second place in the AL Central as we're moving to the latter stages of May. Ramirez sends one to deep center, but back there to get it is Hamilton, 2 down.
Well, kids tickets start at just $10 for kids 12 and under with the purchase of an adult ticket. Tickets are located in the family deck at Progressive Field and available only at Indians.com.
Now here is Yan Gomes, who singled and scored in the second, fouled out his last time up.
Aren't they getting ready to film a movie here too this week?
That
Fast
is right.
and Furious.
Part 7.
Part 36. Talking with our good friend Eddie. There's a lot going on around this town this whole summer.
Well, the Republican National Convention
in July
going to turn this city into quite a spectacle in the middle of July, right after the All-Star break. Gomes with a sharply hit ball to Peraza, and the inning is over. 4 complete. Indians 7, Reds nothing. Baseball is brought to you by Levin Furniture. For the best deals on furniture and mattresses, shop Levin's. By your Northern Ohio Honda dealers. And by the Cleveland Clinic. Access anytime, anywhere. Seven to nothing. Indians on top. Eugenio Suarez leading off the fifth takes a strike. Danny Salazar, 52 pitches in the ball game, 35 of them for strikes. The thing about Salazar tonight, though, Rick, is he's on a pace where he's got a chance to get deep into the game. We love strikeouts; they're fun, but sometimes fewer strikeouts and a few more outs early in counts will get you deeper into games.
I like that. I like when our guys can get in there in that 3 pitches or less. And look, you're not going to have your control every time out, but when you can go out there, that makes it easier. I mean, 7 innings would be great. You know, that's 15 pitches per inning if you can do that. And right now, Danny has had 5 outs on 3 pitches or less.
Swung out and missed. Suarez out on strikes number 5 for Salazar. Sometimes it's not easy for Danny to get outs on 3 pitches or less. It's not
can't
easy.
make. I know it. They don't make contact. They foul off a pitch here or there because he throws very hard, and he's got such a good changeup that you swing in. And I understand that. And you know, you may go deeper, and there's times if you don't have your control, you're battling from behind. But boy, when he's on his, he doesn't give up many hits to begin with. The most hits he's ever given up in a game is 4 this year, and that's the last 2 starts. For 4 straight starts before that, he gave up 3 hits, and in his very first start, he gave up 2 hits. So he's been so stingy. He's the toughest guy to get a base hit off of in all of baseball.
High fly ball, left field. Back goes Marlon Byrd, still going back. And he'll make the catch on the warning track for out number 2. You know, speaking of just overpowering as a pitcher, Susie Giuliano, who worked here for the Indians for years, sent me a note recently. A young man from St. Edward High School by the name of Jarrett Edwards recently pitched against John Marshall. And it was one of those deals where they got up by 10 runs. If you're up by 10 after 5, it's
mercy
an official
rule
game. Yeah. So in the 5 innings that he pitched, he faced 15 batters. He struck out all 15 he faced.
You're kidding.
Only 5 balls were fouled off in the game.
Wow.
That is some kind of an impressive performance. I don't care who you're facing. So congratulations.
5 pitches fouled off and 15 up, 15 down, all by punch-outs.
Strikeouts.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That is impressive.
So Jarrett Edwards of St. Edward High School, that's one for the books. Fouled off to the right. I'm sure once school is out for the summer, we'll probably see Susie make a trip down here to the ballpark.
Why wouldn't we?
Jose Peraza grounded out in the 2nd inning. That was the Reds' only shot so far against Danny. They had their first 2 on to start the inning. And then he retired 3 in a row to end the threat. And since then, he has been smooth sailing.
Well, you can see how tough it is to just square up on the pitch. They're tardy on the fastball. They're out in front of the changeup.
And it's not like in their division they don't see good pitching either, with the Pirates and the Cubs and the Cardinals. But Danny Salazar is one of the very best this year. Boom. Good night. 6 strikeouts for Salazar. He has set down 12 in a row. district. And the Indians are pouring it on against Cincinnati. Tribe leading at 7-0 as we roll to the bottom half of inning number 5. Lonnie Chisenhall will lead it off. And he slaps one foul out of play down the left side. Way outside. Ground ball. A base hit down the left field line. Lonnie takes a big turn. He's going to go for 2. Here's the throw. And he is safe. That was one of the longest slides in the second base you'll see. But he got in there safely with a leadoff 2-bagger.
Well, you can afford the way the score is. You can hustle your way in and force him to make a good throw. Duvall gets over there and cuts it off, makes a good throw, but you can put the pressure on the defense, and he gets in there with the hand first. Good hustle by Chisenhall, gets his second hit, and it's hit number 12 for the Indians.
And now Marlon Byrd. He chops one to short. Cozart off balance throw on the money. Chisenhall has to hold at second, one away. In-game recap brought to you by your Toyota dealers. Rajay Davis got the Indians rolling with an RBI single. And then Jason Kipnis smacked a 2-run shot right back up the gut as the Indians scored 4 times in the second. And then in the third inning, Rajay Davis off the wall, plating a pair. Indians would score 3 times in the third to open up a 7-0 lead. You think about this. How many times do you suppose a number 9 hitter comes to bat? His first 3 times in a game was runners in scoring position.
And it's the 5th inning. Let me tell you, they don't get 3 at bats in 9 innings sometimes. And he goes 3 for 3.
He's done it again, but Lonnie unable to score on that play because of just where the ball was hit. He's got to make sure that goes through. It was perfectly placed. And now the Indians have runners at the corners with 1 out.
Well, he had 6 plate appearances last night in the leadoff spot. He walked twice. He had base hits in his first 2 at-bats. He's got base hits in his first 3 at-bats tonight. So he came into yesterday's game in an 0 for 19 slump. Well, he's got 5 hits in the last 2 games.
And he's now 10 for 26 on the year with runners in scoring position. He's getting the job done. Reds bullpen is active once again as Santana takes aim. Down and in. Barnhart with a good backhanded stop. Called a strike over the inside corner. Bouncer through into right field. Chisenhall scores to make it 8-0. And Rajay Davis rolls into third base. Carlos Santana with his second run batted in on the night.
I think that's going to do it for Simon as he comes back down and Santana finds the hole under a diving Joey Votto glove into right field. And he can't watch anymore. 14 hits in 4 1/3 innings for Alfredo Simon, the guy that was 4-0 against the Indians last year in 5 starts. Well, they made up for it more ways than one tonight.
The Indians absolutely clobbering Alfredo Simon here tonight. And as the Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen has been made, Steve Delabar is coming on when we come back. Alfredo Simon gave up 14 hits in 3 1/3 innings against the Chicago Cubs. The Indians tag him for 14 hits in 4 1/3 innings here tonight. And he has got to be one disappointed, dejected, fill in the blank. Steve Delabar coming on for the Reds, making his 6th appearance of the year. And it's 8-0 Cleveland with Jason Kipnis at the plate, and Indians at 1st and 3rd with only 1 out. Everybody wants a shot of this one, the way the Indians are swinging it here tonight. So many times in baseball, a team will have a game like the one the Indians had last night, and then maybe struggle to score runs.
Yeah, and you say, well, they
used them all up.
Right.
Save a few.
They tired themselves out with 19 hits, you know, season high, 15 runs, season high. Well, they have 14 right now. We're only in the 5th inning. You know, this is what maybe this team needed. They just had to get up there and just send a lot of people, get them on base, and just keep them going and put up crooked numbers, and that could get your confidence going too.
Well, our stat of the game is brought to you by Buick, and it's not a good one. If you're a Cincinnati Reds fan, you might want to turn away from the screen, because the Reds bullpen, look, we've talked about the injuries to their starters. The bullpen has been absolutely no help in that matter.
Yeah, well, they've been having to come in very early in ball games. 31 homers allowed. You know what happens? It just snowballs from there.
8 blown saves.
Well, we told you yesterday, 23 consecutive games the bullpen has allowed a run. And I mean, that's a record in its own.
way the game is played in this modern era, that bullpen, I mean, that's almost something you can't overcome.
Yeah, with the injuries, you have starters that are out that could be starting, and guys that may be starting should be in the bullpen, and it's you're trying to cover up a lot of different places. They traded Cueto last year. They traded Chapman this year to the Yankees. They traded Leak, or was he a free agent? He signed. So they lost some good players, and trying to fill it. Even you got to look at the trades they made and say, what did they get for the big boys that they traded? And sometimes that takes time. But boy, and Brian Bryce is a pitching coach by trade before he became a manager, and that's got to eat him up, you would think.
And Lindor chases a pitch up high for strike 3. Two down, and the Indians still have the bases loaded. You think back to the more recent history of the Cincinnati Reds. I mean, a lot of people, especially my age and older, you say Cincinnati Reds, the first thing that comes to their mind is Big Red Machine. But the Nasty Boys of 1990, that Cincinnati Reds team, if they had the lead after 5 innings, it was over with that bullpen.
Yeah, 3 good relievers coming out of there, right?
But they also had a rotation that had Jose Rio and Danny Jackson and Jack Armstrong and Tom Browning from the left side. I mean, they had good starting pitching as well.
That was managed by Lou Piniella, who rejoined the Cincinnati Reds organization this year. Came back as help over there for their general manager, or their Walt Jocketty, who is now the president over there.
Well, and Billy Hatcher's the third base coach, and he was on that 1990 team. In fact, 2-1 pitch to Napoli, fouled back. Didn't he set the record for most hits in a World Series? Or
well, was it the World Series yeah? What do you have? 7 hits, straight hits, or something like that?
It was unbelievable. They swept the Oakland A's, and that was a kind of a shock to itself, because the A's were, the Bash Brothers, the big boys, and they had great pitching too. But the Cincinnati team was just a force. Now the 2-2. Bounced it in front of the plate.
Boy, he's made some nice stops back there, hasn't he?
Yes, he has.
I mean, and you know what? That's meaningless, because people look over there and say, in a 8-0 game, but he saved some runs and extra bases. Yeah, you know what? Tommy just gave me this. I don't want to change it, but Billy Hatcher's World Series records for the highest batting average in a 4-game series, hit 750.
That's what it was, yeah. Well, he just walked in a run, and it gets no better for Cincinnati here as Napoli picks up the RBI on a bases-loaded walk, with Rajay Davis coming home to score. And they just keep pouring it on, leading it 9-0.
And yeah, he had 7 consecutive hits in that series.
And that was a team that had Eric Davis and
O'Neill,
Paul O'Neill. I mean, they had good players, but it was pitching in the bullpen that really separated them from the rest of the league and the rest of the baseball world. And it's funny, it took, I don't know how many years it took for people to look at that model and say that's the model.
Yeah. 3
power arms in the back end of the bullpen, and that makes up for a lot of sins.
Well, that's what people are talking about the Yankees this year now, with their 3 back there.
But you also have to get them the lead.
Yeah, true.
Suarez takes a strike. Otherwise, it would have been another run walked in. This is a borderline pitch, and a lot of times that's called a ball, but here we go. Everybody moves on the 3-2 pitch, and a foul back. Barry Larkin, how could we have forgotten him? He was the best player on that 1990 team. Hall of Famer. Again, the runners go, and the 3-2 is ball 4, and Steve Delabar has walked in 2 in a row.
Well, that's not going to endear yourself to a manager when you come in and you know it's already an 8-0 game and you're walking guys, especially with bases loaded, walking them home.
Rick, I was talking to your buddy Doug Flynn before the ball game, who played for the Reds and the Mets and the Expos. He's doing a little radio work for Cincinnati, and you know, the one thing we were talking about is that Cincinnati's going through really tough times right now with their pitching. These are challenging times when you got young guys, maybe aren't ready in a lot of regards, but they're up here, they're trying to survive. But in baseball, and I guess this is the case in all professional sports, because it's professional sports, nobody feels sorry for you. It doesn't matter what the score is, doesn't matter what your situation is. The object is to win the game, and when you're going through tough times like this, it can be sort of a lonely feeling if you're the Reds, but for the opposition, they couldn't care less.
Yeah, you've got to compete, you've got to work hard, you've got to get your outs. You're absolutely right. He comes in, he's walked 3 since coming into the ball game. 1 strikeout, and he's walked 3.
Yan Gomes, the 9th man to bat. 2nd time tonight the Indians have sent 9 men to the plate, and Delabar looks like he'd rather be anywhere but on the mound right now.
I don't even see anybody getting loose in their dugout or in their bullpen.
Oh, some jackets.
Oh, they're stirring around, but I'm thinking, you know.
Up high, 3-0.
You know, this is, and when you're a hitter, you can't help them out and go out of the zone. You got to force them to get in the zone. So you don't even have to swing the bat right now. Well, there's Wood getting up.
Blake Wood getting loose now, and there's a strike right down Broadway. And now the 3-1, and Gomes pops it back out of play. I don't mean to suggest that Yan Gomes is a wild swinger. But you walk him, you've earned it, because Gomes wants to swing the bat. He's never a guy that's looking for a walk.
No, it'd be almost like an intentional walk.
The runners go on the 3-2, and a foul right back. The Indians with 4 in the 2nd, 3 in the 3rd, 3 more here in the 5th.
This is identical to last night.
Again, the runners will be off on the 3-2. And it's ball 4. Unbelievable. 3 consecutive bases loaded walks. And the Indians have now scored 4 times in the 5th to take an 11-0 lead. Blake Wood getting loose, but he just started throwing, so the Indians have batted around here as Lonnie Chisenhall comes to the plate for the 2nd time in the inning. He doubled to start this frame, and he swings and misses. That was the 40th pitch of the inning for Cincinnati. Started by Simon. Delabar has come in relief of him.
To no relief.
He has
been absolutely
he's
no
faced
relief.
5 batters and walked 4 of them. I don't know if I can remember that. 5th straight at bat in the inning with the bases loaded. It started with the double by Chisenhall, and then after Marlon Byrd grounded out, Rajai Davis singled to left, putting Indians at the corners. Santana singled one home, then Kipnis walked to load him up. And it's just been ball 4 carousel since then. 2-2. Delabar with a pitch, and Lonnie shoots it out of play.
Well, any pitch they get around the strike zone, it seems like the Indians are fouling it off. And after that, they're just taking the rest of them.
Inside, he missed, and another full count. Well, this crowd's loving it. Again, the runners go. The 3-2 pitch, ball 4. I don't believe it.
I don't think I've seen anything like this. And he's already out. He's already made the call. And boy, Delabar he could not throw a strike.
I mean, I think we've seen games where people have walked 4 straight batters, but 4 straight with the bases loaded? Remarkable. The Indians, the beneficiary tonight, they lead it 12-0 as Cincinnati once again goes to the bullpen. The channel on and say, wow, 12-0.
Yeah, well, this inning has been unlike a major league inning for sure. When you go to the bullpen to take out your starter, Alfredo Simon, after 4 1/3 innings, and the guy you bring in gets 1 out. It was a strikeout, but he walked 4 consecutive with the bases loaded.
And now you're calling on a guy who's walked 12 in 18 innings of work, and that's Blake Wood, who we saw with Cleveland. I mean, he can be really good. But he can be really wild as well.
Probably throw strikes.
Marlon Byrd with the bases still loaded. And he swings at a pitch. It looked like it might have been out of the strike zone. 0-1.
Well, as a hitter now, you don't want to take. Let's go. They want to put it in play. They'll swing. Just get it around the plate.
Runs on 14 hits for the Indians. No runs, 1 hit for Cincinnati. Danny Salazar hasn't pitched in about a half an hour.
Well, again, it's a 25-minute inning. Again, we talked about it. How many they had last night? They're right back at it again tonight. I don't know defensively how these guys can play behind a staff like this. It is practically impossible.
This will be the 50th pitch of the inning. An inning that began 25 minutes ago, 27 minutes ago. 27 minutes ago. One ball and 2 strikes the count here on Marlon Byrd. It's fouled back out of play. Lakewood is the 3rd pitcher of the inning. As Danny Salazar, he's not complaining, mind you, but that'd be strange.
I would wonder if he was been up in the cages to throw at all.
Almost to the backstop. Good stop by Barnhart, excuse me. Yeah, we saw Danny do that down in Tampa. He went out to the bullpen.
Yeah, which was on the field, but he could have went right up into the cages to stay loose and throw up there. But it wouldn't have surprised me because he has been sitting here for most of the night.
And the 2-2. Top slowly to short. Cozart on the move. Throws to first, and he just did get him to mercifully end the inning for Cincinnati. But Danny Salazar, his team now leads by a dozen. Some Reds fans saying no mas. All over the Reds for the 2nd night in a row. And as we move to the 6th inning, the Indians have made some changes. Tyler Naquin has come on in center field. That moves Rajai Davis over to left field. So Marlon Byrd out of the ball game. Danny Salazar back to work in a first pitch strike to Tucker Barnhart. Out of play. Broken his bat, and Rajay comes in with a basket catch knee high for out number 1.
Yeah, that thing was sinking out there. Let's check out Danny Salazar with his strikeouts tonight. And he has been dealing a couple of sliders right there. You get the changeup, good fastball. He's got it all working. When he can throw that the slider, the changeup, and the fastball, this guy's pretty much unhittable. And you know, he's got the run support tonight, but he's in much better command and much smoother than when he was last start.
2 quick outs.
Boy, when you think time of possession in this game, and it has absolutely nothing to do with baseball, but the time that they've spent out in that field, not only today but yesterday, and then you know, Salazar's out there, he's firing it. He's got 8 outs on 3 pitches or less now.
Well, he's going for his 3rd straight. 4th straight 3 and out.
Yeah.
Reds have. This is one of those games where if you want to take the football analogy and keep going with it, they haven't crossed the 50-yard line.
No, but the thing of it is, when you get up there to hit, you can't let this guy get you behind. You know, so you're almost like, I got to stay aggressive and look for his first fastball, because they haven't been able to hit that breaking ball or the changeup.
Well, here's Billy Hamilton trying to be a good teammate. Takes a couple of pitches and it's 0-2.
I know. And he tried to bunt his last time up, you know, where he bunted it right back to Salazar. And I think it was on the first pitch.
He fouls it off and stays alive. "15 in a row retired by Danny Salazar. He has struck out 7 Cincinnati Reds on the night. And the Tribe rolling this evening. Twelve to nothing. Danny Salazar has been simply sensational. He's set down 15 Reds hitters in a row.
Well,
in the meantime, the Indians have just run roughshod over the Cincinnati pitching staff to this point. And Steve Delabar, the Reds reliever who came on last inning, has etched his name into the record books.
You know, that wouldn't surprise me because I don't think I've ever seen anything like it.
I know. That's what I said at the time. I can't remember ever seeing anything like this. And Mike Pachta dug into the research. The guys at Stats went back in the database, so they can only go back to 1974 at this point. But at least since 1974, Steve Delabar is the first pitcher to issue 4 consecutive bases loaded walks. Sorry, Steve.
Hey, if you got to get, you might as well get in the record books. It doesn't matter whether it's good or bad. At least your name's there.
And I knew if anybody was going to say that, I knew it would be you.
There's nothing wrong with that, Steve. Don't you worry about it.
If you're going to do it, just do it.
Go ahead. Yeah, that's right. And we got a news flash because it's the first time that Rajai is hit without a runner in scoring position tonight. And it's his 4th at bat here in the 6th inning.
The number 9 hitter.
Yes.
Tonight. Perfect 3 for 3, 2 singles, a double, and he's just drawn a walk. As promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Rajai came up in the 2nd inning, and he gets an RBI with a runner in scoring position when he plated Yan Gomes. Then, off the wall, he's going to plate 2 runners on the 2-run double. Last time up with a runner in scoring position, he gets a base hit, no RBI, but still a perfect 3 for 3 with runners in scoring position tonight. And the folks on hand loving every minute of it. Tucker Barnhart out. A short and sweet speech to Blake Wood. Probably something to the effect of, look, I've been back here a long time already tonight. Let's go.
Yeah, that's right. Of anybody, he's the one that he's got to call the pitches and he has to handle them all. And he's done a wonderful job digging a lot of balls out of the dirt. But they're just having a tough time throwing strikes.
Now Blake Wood is one of those guys that, you know, scouts have always fallen in love with because he can do what you can't teach. He can throw it 96, 97 miles an hour. Sometimes harder. But throwing it where he wants to has always been his biggest obstacle. And he's walked the first 2 in the inning. There might be some guys who will not be on the team bus back to Cincinnati tonight when this one's over.
You might be right. I mean, what do you do when you're the manager right there? You're making your moves. These are the guys you have, and you call on them, and they just can't throw strikes. I don't know what you do as a manager there.
Well, that picture says it all. There's a lot of exasperated looks, but nobody's doing any talking because there's nothing to be said.
You've got to finish this game first before you can even think about it. There's a lot of things I'm sure running through his mind right now. But I mean, even in batting practice, they make outs. When they throw it down the middle, they hit it at people.
But that's the problem. If you don't put the ball in a strike zone, there's no defense.
Right. You can't defend the walk. There's 5, 6, 8 walks. But when they put it in the strike zone, they hit it earlier against Alfredo Simon.
There have been 6 walks to the last, 7 walks to the last 9 hitters, if I've got that right. Yeah, of the last 9 hitters, the only 2 guys that didn't walk made outs.
I don't know. My card looks like one of Tommy's coloring books. It's got so many different colors on it.
The 1-2. Kipnis pops it toward left, slicing, and out of play. What do they call those drawings where you hold up a drawing and you're supposed to say, what does this look like? Is that a Horseshack drawing? Is that what they call that? A Rorschach drawing?
I don't know, but I know what you're talking about. I haven't had to go to the office for that one yet.
was Horseshack welcome back Cotter? Or maybe I got that wrong. Here's the 1-2. That's what my scorecard looks like. If you're wondering, what are you talking about?
Well, it's like every square is full.
Yeah.
You know, there's not many. Sometimes when, and we've seen it the other way, where you know it's just a quick 1, 2, 3. There's not a lot going on. In and out, but not tonight, not this series. For the first 2 games of this series.
Another foul back. Kipnis called out on strikes. But you can't argue in a 12-0 game. You just got to take your medicine.
That's in there and you move on. There you go. There's the scorecard, and that's only the 6th inning. You know, there's very few little squares that are still open in here.
See, you don't color yours in.
No, I don't. I square them in. You color them in.
Yeah, so you got to get more.
Well, you went to the school of Tom Bochunik scorekeeping. I didn't graduate from there.
You were expelled.
Yes, I was. I was suspended.
Francisco Lindor takes one down.
Yeah,
low.
the funny thing about keeping score, everybody keeps it their own way. However you can read your scorecard, you know.
Yep.
And that's all that counts. I mean, you can look down and say, "Yep, that's." I never kept score in my life until I started broadcast.
Who'd have taught you? Who did you learn
I
from?
just learned from myself. That's all. This is, believe it or not, did it hit him?
Oh, but that's another great stop by Barnhart. I don't know how he caught that one.
This is a Ron Fairly scorecard.
Oh yeah. The old
he was
Dodger
doing it
from
with the
Seattle.
Dodgers. He was out in Seattle, and I never kept score. He says, "Here, I'll give you one of my scorecards and do it."
Body sprawling every direction. 2-0 the count. And Lindor lines one deep left, slicing out of play down to the corner. My dad taught me to keep score when I was a kid, and then I think, like you said, as I got more and more involved in this, you start making little changes so that it's you
can understand.
Exactly, that's all that matters.
And I see you when Max comes up to a ball game or something. You taught him how to try and keep score, and I'm sure he has his own way, and that's fine. You just need the basics, and you can go from there.
My favorite scorekeeping story is the one that Bill White told when he was working with Phil Rizzuto in New York, and he got up to go to the restroom in between innings, and he asked Scooter. He came back and said, Scooter, he was looking at his scorecard to catch up to see what he missed, and he said in one of the boxes, Scooter had written down WW, and he said, "What does that mean?" He goes, "Wasn't watching." Here's the 2-2. Strike 3 called. And again, this is the sort of the yin and the yang with Blake Wood, if you will. He can be frustrating where he walks 2 in a row, but he's got such good stuff that he can come back and punch 2 guys out in a row.
If you can harness that and throw strikes or throw more strikes, which is why you get the opportunity with so many different ball clubs.
Now Mike Napoli, who walked and drove in a run his last time up. Check the swing, and it's going to go foul. In the dirt, good block. Tucker Barnhart has been busy behind the plate tonight. I mean, from batter's box to batter's box, he has been trying to stop balls from getting to the backstop. Only one has gotten by him, and wouldn't you figure that one allowed the Indians to score a run. Yet another full count. Been a boatload of those tonight. 11 pitches have been thrown in the dirt by Cincinnati pitchers tonight. Runners go, and a 3-2 is hit hard, and it skips off the glove of Peraza. Rajai Davis will score. Santana goes to third. It's a baker's dozen for Cleveland as they lead it 13-0.
Well, Napoli staying on the baseball, taking it the other way, getting rewarded again on the slider. Stayed back very well on this pitch. And you can see at second base, Peraza, that was a tough hop, but boy, he's had a tough 2 days defensively as well. That ball gets into right field. Davis scores his 4th run of the night in the number 9 hole.
I wonder if there is something that Mark Riggin saw there. It seemed like an odd time to go out, don't you think? After striking out back-to-back hitters, Napoli, it's a hard hit ball, but your second baseman probably should have picked you up there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Maybe it is. As far as mechanically, I don't know, but he fell behind, had to come into Napoli, didn't want to walk him. Davis 4 runs tonight. You like that? That's his job.
Jose pops it up left field. Duvall makes the catch. Indians add a run, 13-0 through 6. to you by the Injury Lawyers at Elk & Elk, proud partner of the Cleveland Indians. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. And by Ford, built Ford tough. Well, the Indians lead it by a score of 13-0. And with that, the Tribe is giving Jason Kipnis the rest of the night off. Michael Martinez takes over at second base, and Chris Jimenez has the duties behind the dish, giving Yan Gomes the last several innings off.
You know, you look at Salazar tonight, and through his first 6 innings, 1, 2, 4 times, he's been out on that mound for 3 minutes. In the second inning, it was 10 minutes, and in the fourth, it was 8. Every other inning was 3 minutes. Total of 30 minutes being out there. And this is going on, what, 2.5-hour ball game. So you can tell what the Reds pitchers have been out there for the duration.
Well, how about these numbers? 168 over 71.
Really?
That's not Tommy Two-Seat's blood pressure during a Cavs game. That's the number of pitchers the Reds have thrown versus the number of pitches Danny Salazar has thrown. And to take it a step further, Danny coming into the inning had made 71 pitches. Cincinnati's pitchers had thrown 74 balls.
Well, it's just one of those nights. It's not a good night to reflect back or look at if you're the Cincinnati Reds, that's for sure.
No.
Especially after the way last night's ball game went. But I'll tell you, for the Indians and Danny Salazar, he's in total cruise control. He's given up 1 hit tonight. That came in the second inning. You know, he walked the leadoff man, Brandon Phillips, on 4 straight. Bruce got a base hit to right field on a low fastball, and that has been it. Danny's thrown 15 straight strikes.
Got inside on Votto.
You know, they say sometimes, you know, you get that big lead and you lose your concentration. Hasn't happened to Danny. He's totally focused here.
Let's go down to Andre with more on Danny Salazar.
Check this number out, guys. Salazar is riding a team record streak of 8 straight starts with 4 or fewer hits allowed. Previous mark goes all the way back to 1966 with Mr. McDowell.
Sudden Sam, huh?
Yes, sir.
No kidding. That's hard to do, boy. That's being very stingy. You talk about having good stuff, that's what it tells you. That pitcher's got great stuff when you can do that.
Brandon Phillips.
I don't even think Andre was born then.
Are you kidding me?
I know you weren't either.
And you were already in trouble.
Yeah, I was in trouble. You're right.
Upstairs. The 1-1. Oh, what a breaking ball, and it's in for a strike. 1-2 the count. I've been seeing a lot of these tonight. Nice curveball. Just a you know, hello. I'm a curveball. I've got one of those.
Yeah, keep you honest. Look at that ball go the other way. That ball went the other way. Inside out. Did you see the hook on it?
I'm surprised Brandon, first of all, swung at it, and second of all, that he could do anything with it.
Well, that's a hit, and that ball really had some spin to it. It looked like it was jammed in there, and it went off the end. But look at, he's going one way, Lindor, and the ball's coming back the other. It hit the ground, and it just.
That hit the bat twice.
It sure did.
That is unbelievable.
It sure did. I did not realize that, but I knew something strange happened to the baseball.
Is there a full moon tonight? We are
not quite.
We are seeing some strange happenings at the ball yard. And now Jay Bruce with a rifle shot to right. And Phillips stops at second.
Let's watch that again off the bat of Brandon Phillips twice. It got so deep in there. Look at
Broke
that.
the bat.
And then, oh my goodness. That is priceless right there.
It's like it rolled right down the barrel.
It did. It jumped off the bat by an inch, and then it was like a tennis racket.
So after a string of 16 in a row retired by Salazar, it took the most bizarre hit you'll ever see to snap the skid, and then Jay Bruce follows that up with a base hit, and then Bruce is lifted from the game. Is that Tyler Holt? Indeed it is. Now Eugenio Suarez.
Cincinnati, running at first base is number 40, Tyler Holt, running for Bruce.
Bounced in front of the plate. 2-0. Foul back out of play. And a 2-1 pitch line to center field. Naquin coming hard. He'll have to play it on a bounce. And the Reds have loaded the bases. So with one out, they're loaded up for Adam Duvall. And we want to remind you that if you can't watch the games on TV, you can now stream games on your mobile device live. Just go to the App Store, download the free Fox Sports Go app, log in, and stream the Indians wherever you go. So Cincinnati, we know, is having a very difficult year. The Atlanta Braves, on the other hand, are having an awful year. So bad, at 9-28, they have the worst record in baseball. But according to Alyssa Lee of FoxSports.com, she reports that, according to the Atlanta Journal-Constitution, the Atlanta Braves had planned to fire Freddie Gonzalez, and they were going to tell him this morning. They're in Pittsburgh playing the Pirates, so they were going to call him and this morning inform him that he was relieved of his duties. But they had already booked his return flight to Atlanta, and Freddie Gonzalez got a confirmation email and found out when he saw that, I've got a flight booked back to Atlanta for tomorrow morning. I wonder why.
Oh my goodness.
And realized that they were going to fire him. How embarrassing is that?
That's pretty bad. How did he get it?
Because they have to put it in his name, and probably, you know.
Okay.
High fly ball. Duvall sends one to left. Davis on the run. Makes the catch. Tagging is Brandon Phillips, and he will score. And it's a 13-1 ball game. Duvall picks up his 16th RBI. You know, it's funny. We were talking about how Danny Salazar is one of the toughest pitchers to get a hit off of. He'd given up one hit through 6 innings. And then after that goofy hit by Phillips, they get 3 straight hits to load the bases. And now they're on the board for the first time. Nice stop by Jimenez. By the way, Atlanta in Pittsburgh tonight losing 9-3 to the Pirates. It's hit pretty well. Make one on the move, and the center fielder goes by Chisenhall as Lonnie makes the grab to end the inning. Reds get on the board. Stretch time in Cleveland, 13-1 Indians.
Well, Indians youth baseball summer camps presented by Cleveland Clinic's Children offer major league instruction to baseball players in Northeast Ohio. You can sign up today by visiting indians.com/youthbaseball.
Changes to tell you about for Cincinnati. They go to their bullpen. Tony Cingrani coming on. Tyler Holt is now in right field after he came on a run for Jay Bruce. I think we got a new first baseman maybe too. Yeah, Jordan Pacheco is at first base. And Ivan DeJesus Jr. is now in at shortstop. Chris Jimenez getting his first at bat of the ball game. Leading off here in the 7th. And a foul back. Elevated the fastball. There's that fine line. An elevated fastball is what a hitter looks for, but when it gets just elevated enough, it's too high to get the barrel head to it. And now he freezes him for the first out of the inning. It's more than a badge, it's your pass to kick off summer. Don't miss the Memorial Tournament presented by Nationwide, May 30th through June the 5th. Purchase your badge at memorialbadges.com. Now, me and Murph went to, was that the U.S. Open we went to, or was it the PGA Championship out at Hazeltine that one year?
PGA.
That's fun. I mean, if you like golf and you enjoy watching it on TV, if you have a chance to grab one of those badges and go down there to watch that tournament, and you haven't done it before, I highly recommend it. It was a lot of fun being that close and watching those guys.
Yeah, it's a different life when you're right there watching them. And we also had the opportunity. We had a cameraman sitting in there. We could climb in his booth at one of the greens that we could sit and watch.
Shh, don't tell anybody.
Yeah, one of our own said our high home.
Yeah, he was
Brian
in the
McDermott.
tower. Yeah.
Yes, he was, and so was Iggy down there.
I remember we were walking around and we watched the Big Easy, Ernie Els, and then KJ Choi.
That's when he won it, didn't it?
It's like night and day, and they both hit it about the same length down the fairway. Two completely different swings, two completely different built guys, but just they look effortless when they swing.
Yes,
the golf
they do.
club.
Sort of like major leaguers do when they swing the bat.
Yep. The good ones make it look easy.
Nice matchup in New York tonight. Syndergaard and Scherzer.
Lonnie Chisenhall will go back to the bat rack and get a new piece of lumber. He was trying to take a page from Brandon Phillips' book there.
And push it off.
Syndergaard and Scherzer, boy, that is a great.
Well, and Scherzer, after striking out 20, gave up a leadoff home run to Granderson. So he gave up a couple of home runs already.
Yeah, and the fact that he did that against his former team, the 20 strikeouts, just what a story.
We were coming back from what, Houston, and ended up watching that game that was on, you know, one of the networks that night.
Those other channels.
Yeah,
Here's the 2-2. And Lonnie puts a jolt into the ball to deep right field. It's going to short hop the fence. And he's going to go in standing with a 1-out double.
His third hit of the night.
And he went down and dug it out, didn't he?
Yeah, well, his hand stayed back nicely. Yeah, let's watch and take a look at it from the left-hander. On the breaking ball, down. He reaches out there and hits it a long way. Short hops the wall out in right center field on a pretty darn good pitch from Cingrani. 16 hits now for the Indians. That's 3 for Chisenhall, his first day back. He picked the right bat.
Well, that's, yeah.
He sent the other one back.
That's a pitch that a lot of left-handers are vulnerable to because they just pull off enough that they can't get to.
Can't reach it. Well, he stayed back enough to where he could reach it, and you know, you don't think you could drive it like that, but he certainly did.
And Naquin can't catch up to the fastball. It's 1-1. Just missed outside. 2 balls and a strike. That's out of play. out looking. 2 down. Kyle Seager hit a 3-run homer in the 5-run 5th for Seattle as they have blown it open against Baltimore 7-0 in the 6th inning at Camden Yards.
It was Miley there that had a no-hitter going until he just gave up the hit. I think it was the 5th.
Jose Bautista had a 2-run homer for Toronto in the bottom of the 1st, but since then it's been all Tampa Bay as the Rays lead the Blue Jays 7-2. I mentioned Bautista was suspended for a game, but he and Odor, who was suspended for 8 games, are both appealing their suspensions. Rajay is swing and a miss. Twins shutting out the Tigers in the 6th inning, 2-0. How about this, Rick, in that game? Joe Mauer and Miguel Sano both have hit solo home runs. Tony Cingrani with a 1-2 pitch to Rajay, and that just missed. Phil Hughes is spinning a 2-hit shutout through 5 for Minnesota in that one as they're in the 6th inning now.
Well, Minnesota battled back from an 8-0 deficit last night to tie it up and ended up losing it 10-8.
Foul back out of play. Now is Carlos Rodon hooked up in a pretty good one. Houston, Chicago. Astros lead that 1-0. They are in the 4th inning. They're Chicago. 2-2 up high and a full count.
0-2 to 3-2 now for Cingrani, where Davis has been on 4 times tonight.
And it's got to be a good sign if you're Ty Van Berkeley and company to see Rajay come out of the slump. And now in a blowout game, he's still working the count.
Yes, he is.
Not giving the at-bat away. As you said, you get into a situation like that where you're hitting and everybody, you don't want to give an at-bat away.
No, giving at-bats away because it's tough enough to get hits. They have 22 guys tonight that have seen over 5 pitches. Now, partly that is because they can't throw strikes. And 0-2 to 3-2, he gets on base for the 5th time. So give him credit, man. You have to work for that.
Lonnie Chisenhall has 3 hits in the ball game, and he's got a special way to salute the dugout every time he gets a hit. That's one. And now after this one, he gives him the double guns.
After they take a shoe off here.
No, this is my favorite one right here. He gives him the slick back the hair. Okay, let's go, boys. Another trip to the mound. Cincinnati has Russ Ohlendorf up in the bullpen. He was suspended by Major League Baseball recently, but he's appealing his 3-game suspension for he plunked David Freese of the Pirates after warnings had already been issued. Boy, the Pirates and the Reds, they need some anger management therapy.
Well, they do. That's a rivalry. They go back and there's always something going on there, and it looks like the Pirates and the Cubs too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. The Pirates and the Reds, they've had a rivalry that definitely goes back to the 1970s when the dawn of the Big Red Machine. They were fighting the Pirates, who were really good in the early to mid 70s.
Right.
and then they met again in the '90 NLCS. But that they were in different divisions back then. Now they're in the same division, so familiarity definitely breeding contempt in that rivalry.
Yeah, Cincinnati used to be in the West.
Yeah,
that's that. How
Cincinnati, Atlanta. Atlanta was in the West.
Yeah,
how does that work?
I know.
Made perfect sense to me when I was a kid. I mean, that's just the way it was. You looked in the paper.
You weren't good at geography, were you?
No, I wasn't. I couldn't care less.
Now that you're having to fly all over the country, you know.
There's a big chopper to short, and the flip to second ends the inning. 7 in the books, 13-1 Cleveland. Copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Cleveland Indians and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Folks outside between the arena and the ballpark watching the Cavs game 1 of their Eastern Conference Finals with Toronto on television. They're just underway in the first quarter. Here the Indians have blown out the Reds. And as we go to the 8th inning, 13-1. Carlos Santana, who was the DH, is now taking over for Mike Napoli at first base. Danny Salazar right back to work here in the 8th inning. I'll have to ask Rick, you know, from a pitcher standpoint, is it any more challenging to pitch in a game like this where there's so much sitting around in between innings? Ball is going to hit the base of the wall, and Barnhart's going to roll into second base with a double. Is it any more challenging to pitch in a game like this, or in a game where you're having to work hard every inning? So I mean, he's at 92 pitches, and I just wonder what Terry's thinking is in the dugout. Like, is this an easy 92 pitches, or because he's had to sit and wait so long, is this a?
I would think an easy 92 pitches. It's a matter of keeping your focus more than it is. He hasn't been in any trouble mentally where he's had to really work and grind and do that. You have to keep your mind into the ball game. But he has given up now with that hit there. The most hits he's given up this year. It stops that string he had of 4 or less. Not that that's any big deal. But he hasn't been under any kind of pressure. They've had a ton of runs. He's been sitting around, and you know, knowing Danny and his personality, I don't think it bothers him.
It's not even that Not so much that it would bother you, Rick, but my thinking was, how do you maintain that focus when you got a 12-run lead? I mean, you could go up there and throw underhanded, and they probably couldn't score 12 off of it. It's hard to kind of stay in that. You know, that's what we always talk about a closer. A closer works best in closing situations, not when it's a non-save situation.
You'd have to ask a pitcher how he, maintains his focus. I'll take this lead every game if I'm a pitcher.
Swung on and missed. Well, Tito's made up his mind. He's going to go to the bullpen. He's seen enough. Danny Salazar's given him a fine effort. He's given him 7 innings plus 1 batter, and he's given up just 1 run. And he was dominant. At one point tonight, he retired 15 consecutive Reds batters. 16 in a row, actually, before the 3 straight hits in the 7th inning. So Danny Salazar exits with another terrific outing. Just 1 run allowed. He came in with an ERA under 2 to begin with. Phenomenal outing. And now Brian Shaw will come on to face Zach Kozar.
MVPs is the official kids fan club for the Cleveland Indians. It's designed for kids ages 6 to 14, and memberships are $20 and include invitations to exclusive events and one-of-a-kind Tribe gear. Visit Indians.com Tribe Town MVPs for more information.
Backing up, Santana with a flip to Shaw. He beats the speedy Hamilton to the bag.
You better get over there in a hurry. He did, though.
Now stepping in for Cincinnati, first baseman Jordan Pacheco.
And the batter will be Joey Votto. Well, it will be Jordan Pacheco, who came on for Joey Votto. Unless Joey Votto has decided to bat switch hitter now in the middle of the season. upstairs. And a pitch in there for a strike. It's 3-1. Checked on a pitch that was high, and he said he went around.
Oh,
full count.
Okay.
Wow, it was a late.
It was late
Decision by Tim Timmons. I thought they asked right away, but he never said anything, and then all of a sudden he raised the right hand.
Well, let's take a look from the side. Well, borderline. I think Timmons is saying, come on, we got to go to Cincinnati too. I think this crew will follow us, won't it? On these back-to-back games.
I think you're right. Not a play.
Well, I'll tell you what, if he gets a base hit, he'll be happy about it. If he makes it out, he won't be too happy with it.
Back to Shaw. We'll go to first with it, and the inning is over. Brought to you by Mazda. Keep the pedal to the metal. That's exactly what the Indians offense did. First time since 1999. They've scored 13 or more in back-to-back games. That's impressive.
That's hard. Very hard to do.
Danny Salazar was in step with the offense because he was as dominant as they were here tonight. And in the bottom of the 8th, a new pitcher for Cincinnati. And it is Ross Ohlendorf.
Now for the 18th time, 3-4 record, 5.60 ERA. He was with Texas last year. See if he still has that same windup.
Yes,
yeah,
he
old
does.
school windup. Yes, indeed.
Up high, ball one.
All the
Michael
new
Martinez.
guys, they almost seem like they go from the stretch, and it's very little rhythm or motion. But there's one of the old school guys.
It's kind of interesting, though, Rick, when you watch him go through that windup. Right before he kind of gathers himself before the delivery, there's a slight pause. It's almost like a point where right here, and it just everything kind of comes back into line for him, I suppose.
But you can see where with something like that and all the movement, it's easier to get out of whack with your delivery than it would be in a.
You would think
there's not as much deception. He's got more deception than I would think a lot of guys with the arms and legs and coming at you by the time you pick up the baseball. You have to find that one little box that he throws out of and concentrate.
I'll tell you what I find really interesting. That ball's popped to left. All the old footage and film that I remember seeing of Bob Feller and guys of his era that used those kind of high over the head wind-ups, big high leg kick, they always had the ball in their bare hand. When you watch Ohlendorf go into his windup, the ball is in his glove. And when his hands go over his head, he has to go back
and get the
and
baseball.
get it. It's really kind of awkward looking. But watch him when he separates, when he starts to swing, it's just a bare hand. The ball stays in his glove.
Yeah, it sure does.
And then he goes back and gets it.
And he has it set before he gets that, takes his sign.
Francisco Lindor started off on fire with singles, single and a double his first 2 times up. Since then, a ground out, couple of strikeouts. Good high fastball, 2-2. And he shoots it down the left field line, and that will be extra bases as Francisco Lindor has his 3rd hit of the night.
Well, we heard a grunt as soon as he let the ball go, but Lindor slapped it the other way, and another base hit down the line as he did earlier in the ball game. A pitch away, he stayed on it, slashed it that way. So Francisco gets his 3rd hit. He's got a pair of doubles.
He's the 3rd Indians player with 3 hits in the ball game. Mike Napoli has 2.
Now we're getting a pinch hitter, which isn't. This is the pitcher spot. Remember, we put Santana at first base for Napoli, and the pitcher had to go into that spot. So you're going to get Uribe pinch hitting.
That is right. Well, Napoli did have 2 hits on the night. Monty Chisenhall has 3 to go along with Rajay Davis, also with 3. Along with Lindor in the 3-hit club tonight. Uribe lets it fly, and it's 1-1. Glanced off the bat.
Excuse me.
Swing. Uribe is the last position player left on the Indians bench, so that's it. Everybody's been involved in the game tonight. Tapper back to the mound. Ohlendorf, the long underhit flip, 2 away. Pat O'Brien playing the game. Rajai Davis with a base hit into right field, and now watch the play at the plate. It looks like Gomes is going to be out, but the ball and Tucker Barnhart got separated. He never came up with the throw cleanly, and Gomes got the hand in there to tag the dish. And the Indians were off and running. Marlon Byrd would score on a wild pitch, and then Jason Kipnis made it a 4-run inning with a 2-out, 2-run single to center. And the Indians never looked back. Fly ball to center field, caught by Hamilton. We'll go to the ninth. Indians up 12.
Over the Reds, we welcome you back to Progressive Field along with Jensen Lewis, Al Pulowski. Boy, Jensen, what do you talk about tonight? The pitching, because Danny Salazar is phenomenal, or the hitting? 13 runs on 17 hits.
They have battered Reds pitching, but this is what you're supposed to do. The teams you're supposed to beat, they got on them early, they put them down, and they've continued to extend, and this is contagious hitting that they're going to need going into a big-time road trip. We talked about it in the pregame show. But Danny Salazar, is he an all-star or what?
Oh, he's looking like it.
This is as impressive a start for a young guy as the Indians have had in a long time.
He's looked awfully good. Gave up a season-high 5 hits
season
tonight.
high 5 hits.
Season high. We'll join you after the game, too. Indians Live brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. Make sure that you join us.
Matty and Rick, we were throwing a poll out to the fans. We didn't think we'd have to debate this, but who's going to win by more tonight, the Cavaliers or the Indians?
Oh. I think the Cavs. I think they're rolling tonight.
Wow.
Hey, Jensen, I got a question for you real quick before you guys roll.
Go ahead, bud.
Do you think it was a little tough for Salazar to pitch in a game where it's a blowout and he's got to sit and wait?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, and especially the long innings, too, where he probably went under and was throwing with Chris Jimenez in the cages, but to keep the concentration the way that he did, I thought that was the most impressive part.
All right, thanks. Yeah, he was terrific. It's just at one point you wondered, is he kind of looking around going, okay.
Yeah, it's bored.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, of anything, you would think that, but.
Well, here's Cody Allen. On a pitch tonight, just trying to get some work in. Trying to stay sharp, and that to me is the biggest challenge for a manager today, is that you've got to keep your bullpen guys sharp, in particular your closer. You may go stretches where you lean heavily on a guy like Cody Allen and have to pitch him 4, maybe 5 times out of 7-8 days, but then there are stretches where maybe you don't need him for 3-4 days in a row, and you got to work him, because as the saying goes, with most pitchers, they rust out before they wear out. loaded fastball fouled back.
You know, especially these two guys. When you look at Jeff Shaw and Cody Allen, they get their work in, and when one pitches, the other pitches.
Yeah, that's true. They're like Raffy left and Raffy right back in the old days.
Exactly. You look at it, and they have just about the same number of appearances almost every year.
Bit outside. Foul by Phillips. You know, these are the little things that probably, if you're a manager or you're a general manager, if you're somebody in charge, in a game like this, you might think, I'll turn the TV off, I'm not watching, there's nothing I can be gained. But in a game like this, maybe more so from Cincinnati's side, but I think also from Cleveland's side, you want to see who's still involved in the game, who's still playing the game the right way, because that's the measure of a true, in my mind, a true professional. You give that full effort. Fans pay their money to come watch you. And it doesn't matter what the score is. You've got to represent the name on the front and the back the same way every night.
Well, you're right. And there's times where it does get frustrating. But you've got to play that full 27 outs to 9 innings. And I will say this. It's been tougher for these Cincinnati Red players that are in the field, because they've had a couple of tough nights as far as the pitching goes to stay focused.
Phillips caught in between on the check swing, and he's out at first, one away. Now, the great thing about the game of baseball is that you can get abused like this, but you don't have to wait a week to stew and think about it and read all the bad things that people are going to say about you. You've got to saddle up and go get them again tomorrow.
We'll be right back at tomorrow at, what's it, 7 o'clock down in Cincinnati.
That is correct, sir.
The Great American Ballpark will be there ready to go again.
See you in a week. In the dirt.
Tomorrow night, that matchup's going to be Mike Clevenger. Get an opportunity to watch him pitch. And he's going against Brandon Finnegan, the left-hander that they got for Cueto from Kansas City.
Yeah.
So
we saw half of that trade package last night, John Lamb. And now we'll see Finnegan.
Right.
And I think there were 2 position players they got, but they're still in the minor leagues. There's Mike Clevenger. He's excited. Why wouldn't you be? Terry Francona said he was pacing back and forth in spring training just when he was going out to face live hitters for the first time.
That's good. It'll be fun. You know, we'll get him on the plane, you'll see it, and then all of a sudden that concentration will start. He'll start thinking about it.
Terry said that's great. He said that's something you can always work to dial that back a little bit if need be, but you can't artificially put that into somebody if they don't have it. Tyler Holt draws a 1-out walk here in the 9th.
The batter for the Reds, number 7.
And Eugenio Suarez to the plate, 1 for 3 on the night. Way outside. Well, Jensen, he asked. I said, I think the Cavs are going to win by more than the Indians. They're up 18.
Okay, that's all right, though. It's
still a long way to go. I know in the
yeah.
NBA that means nothing, right?
Let's wait till the 4th quarter. About 2 or 3 minutes left. See what it is.
That's when the game starts.
It seems like it.
pretty well to right field. Back goes Lonnie. He's there. Plenty of room. And he makes the catch 2 down. And up comes Adam Duvall, who is 0 for 2 with a run batted in. Came on a sac fly back in the 7th inning. You know, I remember years ago, I was talking to I won't say his name. I was talking to a guy who played for the Cavaliers. He said, I asked him if he had, followed other games and other teams. He said, maybe I'll catch, he said, really, if you watch the last 2 minutes, you see the whole game. And I thought, wow, and what an endorsement for your own product, huh? Swinging a pop foul out of play to the right.
The first 46 minutes, you jockey for position. Yeah. In the last 2, then it comes down to it.
It is amazing how the three-point line has just changed the game. College and pro, high school, you're never out of a game. Doesn't matter what the score is. That and the shot clock, too.
Yeah.
The 0-1. Checked. And the ball in the dirt. Holt goes to second. Two down in the 9th, and the Indians about to take the first 2 from Cincinnati. And I guess you call this a sweep here in Cleveland.
Well, yeah, it is. It's only a 2-game set.
Right back.
There have been times when we've had 2-game series and you play one and the other one's rained out and you sweep the series.
It's a 1 game. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I think we've got another one of these later in the year. It's not back to back, but with the Washington Nationals. I think we got 2 there and 2 here.
Yes, we do.
Cody Allen 1 strike away. Upstairs, 2 balls, 2 strikes. And now the 2-2. Strike 3 called. That'll do it. The Indians abused the Reds by a final of 13-1, and they're now 1 win away from keeping the cup in Cleveland. After winning 5 out of 6 from Cincy a year ago, they have swept the 2 in Cleveland, and now they'll go to Cincinnati to try and maintain that momentum. Indians go to 2 games over 500, equaling once again their high water mark for the year at 19-17. Cincinnati falls to 15-24 on the year. Winning pitcher Danny Salazar, he is 4-2. The loser Alfredo Simon, he is now 1-4. This was another great offensive performance and another shutdown effort by Danny Salazar.
Yeah, it was. It was fun to watch him come back and get it under control in the offense again. I mean, you come out there, they had 19 hits last night. They go out there tonight and they hit the ball all over the ballpark. 17. That's fun to see. I think this offense needed that. It'll give them a little confidence. They're going to go in there tomorrow, and they're starting a big 8-day, 9-game road trip tomorrow. So this could send them off feeling really good about themselves.
Danny Salazar went 7 innings, gave up a season-high 5 hits, 1 run, walked 1, struck out 7. At one point retired 16 in a row, and at one point threw 17 consecutive strikes in the game. So the Indians roll big time once again. The final score is 13-1. We've got some final thoughts right after this.